Imagine, if you would, for just a moment, that you were having a conversation with one of your non-Catholic friends or acquaintances about faith and religion. And your friend asked you, how could someone be identified, or what marks a Catholic, a Roman Catholic Christian? Or perhaps even more challenging is, how could you prove that you were a Roman Catholic? And could you prove it? It's what your friend wants to know. And of course, your immediate answer, right on the spot, is to say, yes, of course I can. I'm a Roman Catholic, and I can prove it. I can prove this. But short of pulling out your baptism certificate, could you really do it? Could you really prove to your friend or acquaintance, or to anyone for that matter, that you're a Roman Catholic Christian? Quickly, as our friend is standing right there in front of us, we might think of externals, just like our non-Catholic brethren do. Oh, I know the Catholics. They make the sign of the cross. They bless themselves when they come in to the church. They pray the rosary. We don't eat meat on Friday in Lent. And of course, then there are the famous Catholic calisthenics. Sit down, stand up, kneel down, sit down. This is how they identify us. But these things do not a Catholic make. So therefore, we might turn to the Catechism of the Catholic Church, the teaching document for the bishops, and hand it to our friend and say, here's what I believe, and here's what I hold dear. And therefore, I am a Roman Catholic. But because our friend is very pragmatic and is from Missouri, the show-me state, he wants tangible, objective proofs to demonstrate that we are what we claim to be and who we are claimed to be. And since our friend is very pragmatic and is of a legalistic bent, we think, aha, I've got him now. So we turn to the precepts of the church. And we think and we say, I attend Mass on Sundays and holy days of obligation. And I certainly rest from servile labor. I confess my sins at least one time a year. I receive communion at least during the Easter season. And I observe the days of fasting and abstinence established by the church. And I help provide for the needs of the church. So there, I'm a Roman Catholic in good standing. But can I convince my friend on just my word that I observe these things, that I do these things? Is there anyone who could support what I say? Because our faith and religion is more about doing than saying. We've all heard it many times. Actions speak louder than words. And maybe you've even seen the slogan on a shirt that says, Catholicism is not a spectator sport. And the very namesake of our current Pope famously said, preach the gospel at all times and use words when necessary. Well, in the course of our conversation, our very sharp friend says she's read about the corporal works of mercy. And surely a Roman Catholic practices the corporal works of mercy. So she asks directly, how often do you feed those who don't have enough to eat? When do you give to the thirsty? Have you provided clothes for anyone who needed them? How do you go about sheltering the homeless? When have you ever visited the sick or homebound? And have you ever visited anybody in prison? And have you grieved with others as they bury the dead? And these are actions that could be easily observable. They are tangible proof. But again, in and of themselves, they are not proof positive that anyone is a Roman Catholic or a Christian for that matter. There are Buddhists and Hindus who do these things. There are even atheists who do these things. But we're closing in on the one thing that distinguishes us as Christians. And today's gospel provides it, and the words come directly from Jesus. I give you a new commandment. Love one another. This is well and good. But then, in the next sentence, he adds, as I have loved you, so you also should love one another. And finally, he says, this is how all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. Well, there it is. It's as plain as can be. Everyone will know that I am a Catholic, I am a Christian, if I have love for others. Not just for some, but for everyone. But hold on just a minute. Jesus has spoken about loving before. When he spoke about the great commandment, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. So we might say there is absolutely nothing new here. Nothing new here. But there is. And what makes this significantly different is the measure of such love. Jesus adds, as I have loved you. And this love is not merely an emotion or a sentiment or personal attraction for that matter. It's very practical, dynamic, and demanding. So how did Jesus love? As I have loved you. How did he love? He loved himself. He loved by going beyond himself, by loving others more than he loved himself. After all, Jesus loved everyone. He loved his followers, his accusers, his torturers, his executioners, more than he loved himself. He loved sacrificially. There was nothing that he wouldn't do for his disciples. He loved understandingly. He lived with his disciples, amongst them. He accepted people where they were. There were no special requirements for his love. And so this is how we are to love one another. And we might say, well, Jesus could do it, but I can't. I can't love selfishly, sacrificially, and understandingly like Jesus did. But we can, because Jesus is the source of the love. As I have loved you. And so, it is by loving others more than we love ourselves, and our actions that flow from this love, that is a sign of the new covenant. And this is what marks us, what distinguishes us as Roman Catholic Christians.